Chapter 1. The Calling. Or was it the wind? One fateful evening, as Jesus sanded down a particularly stubborn plank that refused to cooperate, he heard a voice. Jesus, it called, faint but resolute. He froze mid-sand, squinting into the encroaching dusk, his unibrow furrowed in concentration. He turned his head this way and that, scanning the workshop. Nobody.
Huh?
Jesus, the voice repeated, slightly louder this time, like a tenacious debt collector. Jesus sat down his tools, wiped the sweat from his unibrow, and squinted at the horizon. Still nothing. Must be Yahweh, he muttered, nodding solemnly to himself. To anyone else, it may have been the wind whistling through the hills, or perhaps old Mordecai, the local shepherd hollering at his sheep. But to Jesus, it was destiny leaving a voicemail. The details of the calling were vague. No instructions, no clear job description. But the perk sounded promising. Eternal life, unlimited wine, and a title that practically screamed Messiah. This was not the first time Jesus had interpreted something mundane as divine intervention. Just last week, a particularly vibrant sunset had him convinced he was favored by the heavens. And 2 months ago, the appearance of a double rainbow had nearly triggered a spiritual awakening. But this was different. This felt like an offer. The next morning, brimming with a zeal that made his unusual eccentricities seem tame, Jesus approached his mother. "I've been chosen," he declared, eyes alight with fervor. Mary, who was attempting to knead dough with one hand while holding a squawking chicken in the other, barely glanced at him. Chosen for what? To finally finish that table?
That's ridiculous.
Jesus puffed out his chest, clearly offended. "No, Mother, to save humanity, to bring light to the darkness, to fulfill prophecy." Mary sighed deeply, setting down the chicken, which immediately made a break for it. "Jesus, you've been reading too many scrolls again."
Stop it.
"I heard him," Jesus insisted, his voice raising an octave. "Yahweh spoke to me. He called my name." "Are you sure it wasn't just the wind?" Mary encountered, pinching the bridge of her nose.
Oh, no.
"It was not the wind," he huffed. "It was the creator of the universe." "Well," she said, turning back to her dough, "tell the creator of the universe you can't save humanity until you finish sanding that damn table. We need it for supper." Jesus stormed off, muttering something about a lack of vision in his household. Undeterred, Jesus took his newfound purpose to the streets, or rather, the dusty paths of Galilee. He wandered the countryside, delivering impromptu sermons to anyone within earshot. His earlier attempts were, well, less inspiring. One day, as he stood beside a well, a woman approached to draw water. Jesus saw his moment. "Do you know," he began, striking what he assumed was a prophetic pose, but was actually creepy as all hell, "that I can offer you water that will make you never thirst again." The woman paused, eyeing him warily. "Is it this water here?" she asked, gesturing to the well. "No," Jesus replied, a dramatic pause hanging in the air. "Well, technically yes, but after I run it through my mouth, it becomes holy." The woman recoiled slightly. I'm gonna go now," she muttered, cringing while clutching her jug tightly as she walked away, muttering something about lunatics and vagrants these days. Jesus watched her retreating figure with a self-satisfied smile. "Seeds of faith," he whispered to himself. "They take time to grow." Word of his peculiar sermons began to spread. Some villagers found his charisma oddly compelling, while others whispered about the carpenter with screws loose. "I saw him blessing a fig tree the other day," one man told his neighbor. "He called it a tree of sin, and then yelled at it until it grew fruit." "Did it work?" the neighbor asked. "Surprisingly, yes." "Well, that's unsettling." Miracles. Or coincidences. Jesus began experimenting with what he called miracles. His successes were modest at best. He turned stale bread into slightly less stale bread by waving it around in the air. He patted a grumpy donkey until it stopped braying. He once convinced a fig tree to bear a single out-of-season fruit after berating it for a solid week. "Proof of divinity," he proclaimed, holding the lone fig aloft. "Proof of insanity," a skeptical onlooker muttered under his breath. But Jesus was undeterred. Each minor miracle only bolstered his confidence. He began speaking with the conviction of a man who had never been questioned by anyone with common sense. The Dream Team. By the end of the month, Jesus had concluded that he couldn't do this alone. "I need disciples," he announced to the empty air. "Men who will carry my message to the ends of the earth." His recruitment strategy was simple. Talk to the first people he came across and see who stuck. And so, armed with nothing but a walking stick, a pocket full of figs, and a growing list of delusions, Jesus set out on the next phase of his journey. Little did he know, it would involve more fish, bread, and betrayal than even his overactive imagination could conjure.
Thank you!